Awesome. Starting down at the end, we have Jim Spero.
Jim.
One of the early pioneers. Bob Pond. John Smith. Lauren Seeley. Kit Carson.
I haven't been on a mic in so long, I forgot how to use one. I should have talked to Al for instructions here. Actually, when I was at KRUX, it was a prelude to what you guys did. I was there in 1954 with Frank Pollock, Johnny McKinney, and let's see,
Jack Carney.
Jack Carney.
Yeah.
And I was there when they went from 1340 to 1360, and Joe Patrick and I did an all-night show to make the switch of frequencies, which Al remembers. But I actually was the grandfather to what you guys did.
Right.
Because when you were all at KRUX later, I was at Cupid with Paul B. Munt, Frank Pollock.
The left track.
Yeah, in the left track, right. Which the guy's still using on KOI, or the KFI. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and it's amazing to see all these guys still here. When Dick Van Dyke bought the station, I went over there with, we had Haywood, and we had Pollock, McKinney, and of course I knew all the other guys from the past. We were all in the same pool. But I was at KRUX in the beginning,
Right.
in 1951, with Ray Odom, Cotton Eye Joe Brandt. I actually did a Western show before I did the rock and roll, and I was Lonesome Jim. And I'm still lonesome. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and I feel like I'm kind of part of the KRUX pool because I was there so long.
Right.
In fact, I brought these guys an old ad that we ran in 1954 for the KRUX DJs.
I used to hang around when I was in high school at the Hurd Building. Let's see, KONI was there. Connie Loves You,
Yeah,
1400. It changed to KXIV. Johnny McKinney was on at night. It came on as an all-female station, and McKinney then was on at night, and he used to let me come up there, and he taught me about enunciation, pronunciation, and type production and the whole bit. When Bartell bought KRUX, McKinney and Carney were there, and so I used to go hang around there. It was really something very professional. I mean, it was to Phoenix Radio what Bill Drake was to national radio, years to come. But Bartell was just a fantastic organization.
Yeah, went with them to San Francisco.
You went to Frisco with them? KYA, Washington
Yeah.
Bay?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with Bartell.
Yeah, they owned Waukee and Milwaukee. That's where the family was from.
They had Milwaukee, and they had Atlanta, Georgia. And they took 5 guys from different stations. I went from Phoenix. Seamus O'Hara went from Milwaukee. But then we went to San Francisco, KYA.
Yeah. That was a weird thing. KPHO was ABC, and it's 910, which is, I don't know what it is now. It's probably religious Mexican or something. But anyway, center aisle on your radio dial. That's all I remember. And, well, no, that's not all I remember, but that's all I can say. Anyway, we used to have, Ray Curtis was one of the announcers there, and he heard KRUX, and he says, this is the coming thing, and so he talked management into having top 40 music. I was 20 when I started KPHO, and at that time, we had, most of the guys were from World War II, and they had been in the big band. I mean, they got out of the service in 45 and played music for 10 years, and it was all Glenn Miller and all that sort of thing. And they really didn't like the music. They didn't like the top 40. It kind of felt like I did about heavy metal. But anyway, they just, I was in top 40, and then when heavy metal came, I thought, I'm out of here. I just couldn't understand it. I liked the music, and the kids knew that I liked it, and I could relate to them. But anyway, they would make fun of it. I remember a guy named Alan Jeffries he would copy down the lyrics when we got a record, and then he'd come on, he says, okay, here comes the latest thing that is to be, I guess. Who likes short shorts? I like short shorts. You like short shorts? I like short shorts. Brilliant lyrics, aren't they? And he would, you know, make fun of them. But Steve Allen used to do that on TV on his Sunday night show. Anyway, I don't want to take up the whole show, so switch it over here to Al, unless there's any questions at this time.
We'll come back to the questions.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. It's amazing when we watch here and when we listen. How did I happen to get to KRUX? I had worked in Chicago and in Buffalo, New York. I'm originally from Iowa, as most of you know, and came to Phoenix initially to do Phoenix Giants baseball. But after 2 years, the team moved to Tacoma. The original ballpark was down at South Central in Mojave, and it was a dandy. I mean, they used to tell the story whenever a foul ball hit the roof, all of the toilets flushed. True story. And we were up in open air broadcasting the games. I'm not going to get into those stories. But anyway, when the team moved to Tacoma, I didn't want to go up there, so I stayed and worked at Cool Radio and TV, which was owned by Gene Autry at that time. Did some ASU sports and did some other things, did sports on TV. Finally, one day, one of the sales manager came to me at Cool and said, there's a talk show on KNX in Los Angeles called Opinion Please. It's sponsored by a vitamin company, and they would like to do a talk show in Phoenix. They'd like to buy an hour of time from 7 to 8 in the evening, and would you consider doing the show? And when the caller came in, you said, well, welcome, Bob, your opinion, please, and they went on. Well, this was right about the time that the savings and loan business was going down the tubes. And one day I came into Cool to go to work, and the receptionist said, Mr. Chauncey wants to see you right away. Oh, okay. So I go in Mr. Chauncey's office, and he says, what's this GD show you've got on here at night, this talk show? I said, well, you know, it's Opinion Please. Well, I don't like it, and I want it off the air. Joe Rice is a good friend of mine. He ran one of the savings and loans, and I said, well, people just go, oh, I don't like it, and I want off the air, and you're making $7.50, and I don't pay any SOB talent fee. I looked at him, and I said, you know, Tom, I think I'm in the wrong place. I'm gone. Well, at that time, a gentleman named George Lasley was the general manager of KRUX. And I knew him only casually. I used to see him maybe at cocktail parties, and he'd always come up to me and say, Al, how you doing? When are you going to go to work for me? Ha, ha, ha. Well, after I walked out of Tom Chauncey's office that day in 1960, I went to the phone and I called KRUX. And I said, is Mr. Lasley in? And he picked up the phone. I said, Mr. Lasley, this is Al McCoy. Remember I saw you a few weeks ago and you asked me when I was going to go to work for you? And he started to laugh and he said, yes. I said, how about tomorrow? He said, are you kidding? I said, no. Their offices were in the old Coronet Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, how soon can you be down there? I said, I'm on my way. By the time I got down there, he had called Lucky. Lucky came in, and 2 weeks later, I did 9 to noon on KRUX. Wow. And loved everything for 5 years. And thank you, Tom Chauncey, wherever you are.
I went to KRUX in '65, and I was brought here by Al McCoy, and I did 7 to midnight. And when Al left, I moved to his slot, doing 9 to noon, and I was the assistant program director. I took care of the radio station when Lucky was at his office.
Kim's.
That's an inside joke for those of you who don't know. Leave it that way. And I did music. And then I left in February or March of '67. And I went to work for Tom Chauncey. I enjoyed working for KRUX. It was a lot of fun. We had a great year in '66, had a lot of concerts, met a lot of people, and it was just a great place to work and a learning place for me. And can't go back, but it was wonderful, I gotta tell you. I remember driving from Scottsdale. And let me make it perfectly clear, I live in the cheap seats in Scottsdale, okay, regardless of the rumors being circulated. But I would drive from 75th Street and Camelback to 75th Avenue where the transmitter was. In those days, it took 30 minutes. Wow. Try it today. That's all I have to say. Thank you all.
I started in radio in 1958. I was a junior at Washington High School. A friend of mine got me a job, he worked there as well, at a religious station. And after that I went through a whole string of unremarkable and unrecallable radio stations until I was going to Arizona State at the time, and I got a job at Cupid working all night. I didn't know if I got fired from Cupid or I just was lured by the demon rock and roll and got hired to do midnight to 5, I guess it was, at KRUX. May of 1964. To my luck, and I can't remember exactly what happened, I think it was Diamond Jim left, and Sunday night went to afternoons, then I went to 7 to midnight, which was, in my mind, the most phenomenal shift in rock and roll radio in those days, because I can recall doing our contests. I remember there was something, I can't remember what the payoff was, but everyone on Central Avenue had to flash their lights cruising at nighttime. And I can't remember what the prize was or if there was a prize, but they flashed their lights. And, you know, it was just stuff like that. I mean, this old, I guess today it might be seen as trite or hokey or whatever, but it was a page right out of American Graffiti. And it was a great time. It really was. And the emphasis back then was not so much in being clever, at least with me, because I wasn't, but it was having a good time. I think it was 1967. Lucky and Al were gone. A new program director came over fresh off the coast, and I thought it was time to go. So after that year was up, Lucky Lawrence was program director of KTAI and hired me there. I was there for several years. And anyway, but I have to say that it was a phenomenal time. I'm really extremely privileged to have been a part of it. I didn't plan it. It just worked out, and it was just great to be in the same league with these guys.
During the week, I had been working at KRIZ in sales, but I didn't want to work in sales. I wanted to be on the air. You know, that was my love. And Jim had KXID, and they were playing, you know, Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra. And me. But I went to Jim and I said, who I thought was the funniest guy in the air in the morning. I mean, he was hysterical. And I said to him, you know, I want to be on the air. He had the job. He goes, I'll put you on Sunday night. And then this guy got me my first full-time radio job.
In rock.
In Top 40, yeah. But what happened was, when I was, you know, and I went to Catholic school, I lived with guilt. So I have to confess something to Jim in person that I've always wanted to do and tell him what happened to me one Sunday night, because at 10 o'clock we would sign off the air. But I would take all my records from KRIZ that I had collected and the jingles and bring them over to KXID, and when I shut the station down at 10 o'clock, I used the control room to practice my Top 40 stuff and make a tape. And if something went wrong playing the tape, you just lift off the needle off the record and start it again. I would get frustrated and I'd cuss, and I'd use some really foul language, you know, it didn't matter. You leave the mic on, you lift the record up, and things you got. Do the intro over again, get halfway through the record, didn't like it, swear, cuss. One of the lines lit up and I answered the phone, you know, KXID. And he said, hey, can you play something by the Rolling Stones? I mean, what do you hire something? Rolling Stones? We don't play on Rolling Stones, we play Sinatra. 2 seconds later, another call. You know, hey, I love the music you're playing, man, this is great. You know, but can you cut down on the bad language a little bit? And let the songs play all the way through. Well, I forgot to shut down the transmitter.